joins me. Nicole, happy Monday. Good to see you. What a major development in such a story. I know Diddy has been going on with some of these legal sagas over the last 3 or 4 months. Then we get word of this. And like I said, I'm not saying they're related. I think it's important, contextually speaking, to bring them up. But from what you are seeing right now, what does your gut tell you, Nicole?
My gut tells me that it's absolutely related. I mean, it is typical, but never a good sign when the feds show up at both of your residences with search warrants at the same time. This is done so that evidence is not lost or destroyed. It's also done by surprise so that any witnesses at either of these locations can be interviewed while they're not expecting it. So this is exactly what I would expect for warrants of this nature, and they're looking for laptops, thumb drives, images, documents, anything to verify the types of complaints that they're investigating.
You know, Nicole, you've prosecuted and dealt with a lot of these cases in the past. And for our viewers who don't know, what is the legal bar to reach the statute definition of sex trafficking in the United States? What do you need if you're some of these investigators who are poring over some of these devices, presumably that they have seized, hardware, software, a lot of drives, I would imagine, photos they are taking all over these residences? What do you even look for?
You're looking for evidence of compelled prostitution, essentially, or for potentially minors being asked to engage in sex acts. You're looking for anything that would demonstrate that there is essentially a sex trade being operated either out of those locations or that there's evidence at these locations to show that that's what was happening here. And, you know, one reason that this could be investigated by federal law enforcement as opposed to state and local law enforcement is because they believe that there is some activity that crossed state lines, for example.
Oh, no, I think that's really kind of enlightening here, too, because this is something you just don't see every day. And I don't want to speculate on kind of the scope of the probe or the investigation, but could one be led to believe that with the number of law enforcement officers on scene, the amount of people that they brought to conduct a raid like this, is that indicative of the scope of the raid, or is this just normal everyday business about how these raids are conducted? I know you're not a law enforcement expert, but you're looking at this right now and you're seeing the amount of manpower to carry something like this out. I know these are mansions and you have to go through almost every room and you have to sweep the grounds and you have to make sure no one is a threat when you make a raid like this, but should we look into something like that?
Law enforcement, as a general rule, wants to make sure that they're completely prepared for what they're about to encounter, and that usually involves and does involve a great deal of intelligence gathering prior to going to the property. And just looking at what you're seeing on the screen, what I'm seeing on the screen right now, are both of these properties are huge. It's also very possible that both of these properties have other individuals walking around. So, you know, in the residences, it's going to be really important that they have enough manpower there, not only to search thoroughly these very large businesses, or buildings rather, not businesses, residences, but that they have manpower there to interview anyone that they encounter and be able to secure them away from each other. So one thing you don't want as law enforcement is to have all of the witnesses that you're seeing at this residence, for example, corralled in one location so that they can talk to each other and trade information as you're setting out on your investigation. You want to make sure all these witnesses are separated so that you can start interviewing.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam.